It was a measure aimed to help foster children who turn 18 and often find themselves with nowhere to go and no one to help them. Senate Bill 109 passed by an overwhelming majority and will now help young adults in foster care stay in the system, receive services, and live with their foster parents until they turn 21. The bill's sponsors say the bill will give foster children a greater chance to succeed after many have been struggling to catch up since the day they were born.
My name is Devin Formo.
Their testimony often bringing tears to the eyes of the bill's sponsor.
I am not going to cry.
I come here today in hopes to bring about change so future foster youth don't have to endure the pain and hardships I had to go through in order to be successful.
Foster children like Devin Forno, who are now adults, explaining the hardships they had no choice but endure.
If anyone in here has ever been homeless, you would understand how difficult it is to get out of homelessness. It's like falling in quicksand. If someone isn't there to get you out, then you'll most likely be trapped.
Story after story.
At 11, I experienced a life of emotional, mental, and physical abuse at the hands of my father, which led me down a path of darkness.
Young people recounting life experiences many adults would find difficult to maneuver.
I remember being hungry. Often, I remember opening the refrigerator and only seeing butter. I would just eat it.
All who came to the Senate chambers to tell their life stories are survivors, but they say the day they turned 18, the struggle to find the path to success became longer and almost impossible to navigate, something Senator Regina Barrow says she recognized several years ago when she began studying the issue in the midst of a state budget crisis. She says she kept fighting to help those fighting an uphill battle.
We just kept applying it, kept just applying our efforts and kept looking into the issue and just kept pressing the issue and just kept pressing the issue. And what happened, the secretary actually decided to bring some of these young people in as interns. And when she did that, she began to hear the stories. And then she was like, we need to share these stories.
Senate Bill 109 follows Senate Bill 129, an effort passed last year which extended care to age 21 for anyone still in high school or working toward continuing their education. But it was not enough, leaving many foster children who aged out left out.
I remember, unfortunately, when I first got elected, when the program was actually eliminated. And I remember one of my colleagues saying from the microphone, what are we doing here? Are we now going to, just kick kids out when they turn 18? And I didn't quite understand the magnitude of that at that time, but it never rests with me. And, I'm so glad that finally, after all these years, we made it a priority.
Senator Barrow says many of these young people's concerns about adulthood began well before 18.
They would talk about the stress they would begin to feel almost a year out. At 17, they're worried about what's going to happen to them next year because they know that they're getting ready to transition out. Most of them don't have connection to their biological families, and they had nowhere to go.
The path to passing the bill, which Governor John Bel Edwards signed at the end of the 2019 legislative session, followed the recommendations of a legislative task force formed to research the issue. That task force found that extending the age of care would help improve outcomes of young people in foster care.
Senate Bill 109 has really changed everything for us.
Christy Tate is a child welfare manager with the Department of Children and Family Services.
It will change outcomes for our youth. They can continue in care in a different type of program that really puts them in the driver's seat and allows them to gain more independence so that by the time they do leave us at 21, they can be in a much better place.
Studies have shown many removed from care and services at 18 have had great difficulty staying on track.
Our outcomes are really the same as they are nationwide for youth that are leaving care at 18, and those are very poor outcomes. About 75% end up pregnant within a couple of years, and parenting, which we know at that young age is a difficult thing to do. Only about 3% end up graduating with a college degree. 1 in 4 are homeless. And so we believe that this program will really change those outcomes, which will benefit our state in the long run, but more importantly, help those kids be successful.
Tate says they'll be following the Youth Villages program that has been successful for over 20 years in Tennessee. That organization was a strong advocate of SB 109, pledging $3 million to support the state's foster care efforts.
We thought their proposal was really innovative. combining case management with YV LifeSet services, and wanted to take them up on their application and have partnered with them since November of last year.
Youth Villages says their foster care studies showed that youth removed from care at age 18 struggled with basic survival and had very limited success.
We saw that in terms of housing stability, employment, education, and their involvement with the legal system. Our own data showed us positive outcomes for the youth we were surveying. And so then we ended up conducting a randomized clinical control trial across the entire state of Tennessee. 1,300 young people were part of that study. It's the largest study that's been done across the country for this population. And that study showed that when compared to services as usual, YV LifeSet had impacts in housing stability, employment, increased earnings, mental health stability, as well as decreases in domestic violence.
That study is Danica Carter's living testimony.
Aged out. What did it really mean? For me, it meant that on my 18th birthday, when I was a senior in high school, my foster mom dropped me off at my 18-year-old boyfriend's house, where he lived with his mom. The thing is, his mom wouldn't let me stay. Within 3 months of aging out, I was pregnant.
Get some napkins if you need it, girl.
I have a beautiful 4-year-old daughter because of it. It was not my plan for myself. I had no money, no job, no family, and seemingly no way forward. Last year, my daughter and I have lived in a battered women's shelter and a Salvation Army. I am now 23 years old. And these past years have been hard. It's taken me 5 years to create a sense of stability.
But Senator Barrow and other advocates of SB 109 are hoping stories like Danica's will become fewer and fewer, the exception, not the norm, giving them a chance at life without constant struggle.
There was a set of brothers that came last year and testified. So 2 of the brothers ended up being incarcerated. And one of the brothers is in school. And so when you think about the cost that we are paying per day for those young people who are currently incarcerated because they did not have that help, there was no gap to assist them. We are now paying much more than we would pay right now to assist them if they would have received that help. So, I mean, either you pay now or you pay later. I mean, again, when you look at teen pregnancy rates, 71% of them would have multiple pregnancies before 21. But then it begins to start that cycle all over again where that child can ultimately end up again, in the foster care system. But now there's going to be a stopgap. I believe that we are going to be able to be a positive interruption on an otherwise destructive path.
Now, Senator Barrow says this bill was not possible without the help of her colleagues rallying with her, some foregoing their own projects to help young people in our state. 28 other states have similar programs to help young people who've aged out of traditional foster care.
Important stuff, big time.